Yeah.
Oh, welcome to another Rat Food on the Road, everybody.
And hello from Adelaide.
Hello from Adelaide, from our little Airbnb.
The hottest city. The hottest. Guys, it's 37 degrees.
It's so hot.
Now, you might be going, Sam, you're wearing mesh. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm wearing a long sleeve. That's because you best believe I know my girl. We've got the AC cranking to literally fridge level, which is why I'm in a long sleeve.
You're cold right now?
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane to me.
Yep. The AC is blasting. They should put us in a lab. Yeah, they should put us in a lab. We are extremes.
Because also everyone in this house is like hot right now, except for you.
And Neve.
And even Neve though was like, it was hot last night, couldn't sleep.
Yeah, I know it was hot last night, but with AC, me and AC, we're not friends, guys.
So funny.
But who cares? I won't go on with that because no one cares about if I like AC or not.
So what are we in Adelaide for? Summerlama Ditson?
We are in Adelaide for Adelaide Fringe.
So exciting.
4 years. 4 years on.
4 years, 4 shows.
4 years, 4 shows. We did a very cute Instagram post the other day, a kind of trip down memory lane of all the years that we've done.
Yeah.
2022.
Adelaide is a real marker for us, I feel like, of where... Because Adelaide, I think, was, correct me if I'm wrong, the first place we toured to outside of Melbourne.
Yep.
And it's also the only city that has gotten to see all of our shows that we've ever done.
Yep.
And it always is just like, it's always the dead of summer. It's always so hot.
So hot.
And Adelaide is just like second home to us, really.
It has such a soft spot in our hearts, especially like the Fringe is so ingrained in culture here. Like everyone goes to the Fringe during the Fringe Festival. Everyone knows it's on. You've got like even the cool kids from like all the random schools going to ride a ride on the Ferris wheel and go watch a magic show. Like everyone actually shows up.
Teenagers are like, I guess I'll like see you at Gluttony for like, I want to go to the food trucks and like ride the coaster.
Yeah.
Melbourne could never.
No, it could not. But we are very soon to be opening. We're recording this a few days before we open.
Yeah, when this comes out, we will have been open for 2 days.
Yeah, so if you're in Adelaide, come along.
Please come along. I assume the season will have been going very well.
Yes.
Positive thoughts only.
Well, we're doing Platonic Human Centipede and it just has such a soft spot in my heart.
It really is. Like, is it your favourite of our shows?
Yeah.
It's mine, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, it's easy. It's like, do you say that every year? No. Genuinely?
No.
I think it's our most accessible and it's our strongest writing because it's 4 years on, you know. We must talk about the bullying that ensued for us when we were flyering.
The bullying.
So for anyone that doesn't know, part of like Fringe is you fly for your own shows and you go out and basically hand out leaflets and go, come along to the show, come along to the show. Every city is different in the way they accept flyers.
Yeah, very different.
So, and it's a performance.
The flying is a performance. This is what we've cracked onto this year.
There's a power play that happens.
Massively.
When you fly to someone, they feel like they have the power. So you do get a real range of responses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you like to explain the bullying that happened to us the other night?
Oh my God. It was just, and this is the thing, it's so like rare that a nasty flying experience will happen, but sometimes it just doesn't. It's like, guys, why? Yeah. So we were standing out the front of Gluttony, which is one of the like main hubs for Fringe, and we were just like flying, blah blah blah, doing our thing, chatting to people, being like, guys, you interested in a show? And I get it, being flyed to 8 times in a row when you're coming in or out of a show is annoying. I understand that. Yep. However, it's so easy to be like, no, thank you, with a smile.
And it is part of Fringe. And it's definitely part of like those 2 big garden venues. Yeah. Like you're going to see, in the same way you're going to see Fairy Floss and Magicians, you're going to see flyers.
Yeah, if you're coming to the Fringe, it's probably a safe assumption you're going to be flyed to.
100%.
Anyway, these 2, and it was gals, and that was the most disappointing part. These 2 gals, I was like, guys, gals should be supporting each other. Come on.
Gals should be supporting each other.
These 2 gals trotted past. And also, in this case, I was like, dude, there was no reason for you to have like made such an effort to be mean to me. Yeah. Trotted past. And this girl was like, oh my gosh, what's that? Give me a look. Can I have one? Like really actively like trying to engage. And I was like, yes, absolutely. Here you go. And then head to the YouTube to see the visual. And then she just goes like this. She literally grabs it from me. She goes, oh, thank you. And then walks past and goes, and like rolls her eyes and tosses the flyer in the air 2 seconds after taking it from me.
It like, was so catty.
Literally like gotcha. Like as if you'd ever think I'd want to grab your piece of fucking shit paper. And I was like, girl, I don't think that's the read you think it is.
No.
I also was like so struck by this realization of like, oh, shame and embarrassment is such an interesting like little nut of an emotion and sensation in humanity. Because I'm like, I think you're trying to make me feel small and weird and embarrassed.
Yep.
But joke's on you because I'm not.
Yes.
And that only works if I feel that emotion. Yes. And I'm like, so you've just wasted energy.
100%.
All you've done is be a mean girl. And then similarly, this guy, like not long afterwards, like was, I forgot what he did exactly. He was like going past and like, was like, yeah, give me a look at that. And then like, just like hit it out of my hand and like turned around. I'm like, oh guys.
There was a few bullies in a row and we don't usually get that many people bullying us.
Fringe.
And I also had another guy that grabbed it off me and then, because some people, which is fair, they'll grab the flyer, see the Platonic Human Centipede, see our faces and go, oh, God, no. And
thanks.
That's okay. We're not for everyone. The people who love us. The people who hate us, hate us. He grabs it and he goes, nah. And he gives it back to me and I grab it back like a normal, unfazed performer. I go, no worries. I grab it back and he goes, well, yeah, because clearly you don't want me to litter. You don't want me to litter. And I'm like, no, I don't. I can just take it back.
It's all good, bro.
But then on the flip side, we have part of the tree of the Mel and Sam audience is sparkly-eyed boomers. That like to call me and Mel very clever. Yeah. Like, very clever, men fast lyrics.
50s and 60s who love to be like, you girls, you're really clever.
The show's very fast but very clever. This was one of my favourite interactions. I love them. And we can pick them. We know who's going to say yes. Even though they don't look like they'd come to our show, they do. They're in like a Gazman, like button-up shirt, some random tracky dacks and a pair of sneakers. They're ours. They're ours for the taking. I literally go, one of our lines, we rotate through a few. It depends on the audience. We do target different people. I go, multi-award winning comedy. And he grabs my flyer and then he just goes, he grabs it and he pauses and he just looks at me and he goes, good lifestyle? And I go, in my job? And he goes, yeah, good lifestyle. With the sparkliest eyes. And I go, absolutely it is. I'm touring with my best friend and we make people laugh every day.
Good.
He goes, that your other half? I go, that's my other half over the way.
Wife.
She's flying to other people. He goes, good on you. He goes, do you sing? I go, it's all original music. I'm going to call him John. It's all original music, John. And he goes, good on you. Then his wife goes, we can't sing at all. Would we like the singing? I go, well, she's got an opera degree and I've got a jazz degree, but we sing a range of different styles because you got to lean in. We become chameleons in the way that we, but when we're promoting it to like gay people that are like Charlie XCX, I'm like, literally, it's just like pop bangers. It's just Charlie XX, but me to someone else. I'm
and
like,
to old people who are like, yeah, kind of 3-part harmony Andrew sisters.
Literally. But that's how our flying has been going.
We have to tell the story about the one. Have we told this story on pod before? The flyer last year in Adelaide? No, last year in Adelaide?
No.
The older woman.
And if we haven't, do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Do it again.
This story. So a flyer last year in Adelaide, not a flyer, sorry, like someone we gave a flyer to. I'm going to do the exact, Sam and I are going to do a scene.
Just a bit of a scene for you on Rat Fit on the Road.
I hope you enjoy it, audio
this
version.
Is, I know we're exaggerating girly pops, but this is no word of a lie.
Like this is not hyperbolic. This is 10 out of 10 fact.
And Mel's going to do what the person did and then I'll do my response. All right, I went like this. Multi-award winning comedy, if you're interested in a show later.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I am going to take that one. I am going to take that. Do you know why? Because I have been here for 3 weeks and not a singular person has given me a flyer, girls. Not one. Not one person has handed me a flyer. And I'll tell you why, girls. Women over 60, we're invisible. That's why. So I'm going to take that flyer. Thank you. And I will see you at the show. And then I went down her cheeks, walks away.
And then I went, no worries. We would love to have you.
And also I was like, girl, you're actually so right for that.
Yeah.
Women over 60 are invisible. But I was like, this is a bit much.
Literally like we went like this on a tap and went to full steam. And
it was
just
amazing.
Went gushing out with
It was
emotion.
an example of, when you see someone, you're like, oh, I think you just needed to be heard.
Yep.
And you were waiting for someone to be like, open the door for some communication.
100%.
We should also unpack, it was so interesting chatting about like the sparkly boomers of it all.
Yes.
We feel like, and it's certainly not a blanket rule, obviously, we have so many like women in an older bracket as well who love our stuff. But we've been unpacking recently when we do have the sparkly-eyed boomers who like grab our things from us. We've been like curious about whether we're experiencing some kind of like internalized misogyny maybe from an older bracket of women in regards to our shows. And again, it's such a blanket statement. It's not everyone and it's not all the time. But there's this really interesting thing that happens, I think, often sometimes, because you know how you often feel that you'll feel a big shift in generations of feminism. Because often I feel like some older women are like, oh, well, fuck you girls that you don't have to kind of put up with the shit that we put up with.
And what I kind of went through in my time.
Yeah, and what we went through in our time. And there's this interesting thing that sometimes happens of like, we'll find older women being like, oh, those girls are a bit silly, or like, oh, those girls are a bit like, or even in regards to like what we're wearing, and being like, oh, like those, never said, but kind of an unspoken like, oh, those girls are a bit like, put on some more clothes. It's just this really interesting like thing that sometimes happens with some like internalized misogyny.
We also see quite a bit in, it's just weird that flying's bringing us into all these kind of beautiful earnest takes, but truly because you see so many people all day, not all day, every day, we're not flying all day, but for a few hours a day, it's like you're getting a lot of different reactions. Our least favourite is when a man answers for his wife. And I'll go, or Mel will go, multi-award winning comedy, goes, nah. And you can see that his partner or his friend or whoever he's fucking coming down the archway with will, you know, open up their body language like they're going to grab it. And then they will instantly close off. And the amount of times I just try and sneak him one.
Well, and sometimes it's really iconic, and sometimes they're like, some of the girlfriends will be like, no, like, shut up, Brian. Like, I actually would love to take a flyer. And it's like, oh, don't ever speak for anyone. But specifically don't speak over women.
And the only other thing we kind of unpacked in Edinburgh was because a lot of people have people who flyer for them, and we had flyers as well, but we were flyering ourselves, which is less common. You usually just hire someone to do it for you. What I said to Mel, and
we said we're on a tight budget.
We're on a tight budget, and we like flyering. We love connecting with people, and we feel like it does get more bums on seats, even though it can be quite tiring. It's interesting when we were flyering last year for Edinburgh Fringe, because I'm going, I wonder if some of these people that are grabbing our flyers, and maybe I'm wrong, think that we've been hired as flyer girls for a show. Because we handed out so many flyers where I'm like, I think you think this isn't our show.
Well, and then often people will grab a flyer and they'll be like, hold on, that's you. And we'll be like, yes, it is us. And they'll be like mind blown.
It's so interesting. But honestly, we love Adelaide Fringe. We're having an absolute ball here. We've seen some great shows. If
you're in Adelaide, some of our recommendations include Elf Lines
in Horses. Brilliant clowning.
Casey, what is Casey's last name?
I don't know, but the show's Virtuoso.
The show is called Virtuoso.
That
was also fantastic. Trying to think of things that will still be on
Michelle
as well.
Brazier, if it's still on.
Michelle Brazier's show, We Will Not Be Friends next year.
It's brilliant.
Oh my God.
It's one of those things as well where, you know, when you have like a new show each year and it's like, oh, how is she going to do it again? But she's written a show that is so deeply vulnerable, as is all of her shows. She's so good at putting so much of her vulnerability on the stage, and she's world class as a performer.
Michelle Brazier is maybe, if not my biggest, just probably is my biggest inspiration.
You said that to me the other night.
Comedy. The other night, I just leaned over to Sam and I was like, she just is so inspiring to me. And I also don't throw around the word inspiring.
No, I know.
But I actually walk out of her shows being like, I am inspired to go and do a different kind of work, or to go and like add something I've just seen from her shows, like add an essence, or like something that I've taken from her to like make my art better. You know.
I also really, just on the Braze train for a second, nickname Braze, really respect someone that's so, because talent knows talent, right? And I remember like when I first started out doing musical comedy, and I remember her from like the moment she first saw the first show I did, which was actually not with Mel, it was with two other performers. It's called Baby Bye Bye Bye. And I remember her like cornering me and being like, you're so good, you're so brilliant. God, I loved it. And it was one of those moments where I was like, that was just the way that she just opened up her arms and went, welcome. Because it can be a really competitive industry. And I would say that even though we're not a copy paste of Braze, we do kind of similar stuff.
100%,
And so it's easy in this industry to be like, God damn it, there's another person doing something like kind of similar.
There's not room for all of us kind of vibe.
Yeah. Oh, we must really quickly also talk about when we saw Lady Macbeth played Wing Defence and feeling like when we walked into the theatre, we were like,
oh my gosh, like, it was alternative reality. So Lady Macbeth played Wing Defence. Will be closed by the time this comes out. But it was fab. It was like a musical, I guess, mini musical. But when we walked in, they were playing our song Net Fucking Ball as like pre-show music, and we were like, what? I've also never felt like more of a star. I was like, this is so special.
Walking into the Kingfisher, which was the venue we performed in last year, to the song Netball whilst they're on stage, like girls
in
our
netball
age
bibs.
in netball bibs. And I'm going to Mel, I feel like this is us if we took a different train on a different day in a different reality.
Yeah, it was giving alternative reality.
Alternative reality. But that's kind of Adelaide Fringe. It's just, we love it.
Please come see our show. It really is. We're so proud of it. Yeah. And it's just so fun. We had a killer season in Perth. Obviously, if you're fans of the pod, you heard all about Perth. You heard about do a backflip.
We haven't had any crazy stories like that yet, apart from being bullied when we were flying.
Yeah, because we haven't opened yet, but I'm sure we will very soon. Yeah. But yeah, come on down. We're also, Sam's family's from Adelaide, so we've been staying with Sam's family for a little bit, which has been so gorgeous.
We just have recently conveniently had a renovation of their house, which means they now have a pool.
Life is good.
And it's my auntie going, we had us and we're staying with the BBB, which is my girlfriend Neve and her comedy partners Rachel and Nina. We're all staying together in this Airbnb.
Yeah. We also go and see their show.
Go and see their show.
Their show is called The Full English, Barry, Bryan and Bean Company Collective.
Yep.
Fake fan alert.
Company.
And it is brilliant. They're like 3 drag king clowns. And their show is spectacular. It's also on all of this week. Go see it. It's at Migration Museum.
I know we're obviously biased, but they're just performers that deserve to have packed out audiences because of 100%. How skilled they all are. They're all brilliant performers. They've literally just walked past us now to get back into the Airbnb. LOL.
Hello.
They're trying to be silent. They're like, should we respect the rat food? Should we go get a coffee? And we went, absolutely. But no, when we went over to the pool, Sheridan was like, please.
Who's Sam's auntie?
Who's my auntie? She was like, just tell them the tiles aren't done on the pool and I'm really sorry. And I went, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah, we really walked in and said, what the fuck is happening with the tiling, man?
What's
in
going
this free
on?
pool that we're allowed to swim in?
And you're kind of now part of the Andrew clan, the Andrew
really do
family.
Feel very special.
You've been here for a few years.
It was like that Sam's cousin was getting ready for formal and I was like, babe, what are you wearing? And like, babe, you look so beautiful. And I was like, should I get in the photos? What's happening, gang?
It was perfect. And then we had the most gorgeous drive with Lola, my cousin. Aww. We just went for a bit of a drive. She actually took us to Officeworks, thank you, Lola, to get a bunch of shit for our work.
Also, I wanted to kill myself because I realised that Lola, Sam's 17-year-old cousin, has her licence and I don't. Absolutely devastating.
But we had the most gorgeous girl chats in that Toyota Corolla where I just went, oh my gosh, you know when you finally see your cousins as no longer little babies with like Vegemite on their face.
Yeah.
She's now like a full-formed adult. She's 18 and we were just talking to her and Mel and I reflected on it later and I was just like, good God, this new generation of teenagers they're so good at standing up for themselves. The way we were talking in the car just about like some life experiences and things that have gone down. I was like, this girl can hold her own, can stand up for other people.
Herself.
And for herself. And as a feminist, I was just like, as both of us feminists, I was just...
Not me, man. I'm not a feminist.
Mel actually hates women. It was just such a beautiful moment.
It was pretty amazing. Yeah, we both had this feeling of just going like, oh, good God, the world is in good hands.
Yep.
The fact that this is like a young person, like listening to how she speaks and like what she cares about and like how she like talks about her friends and other people in her class. I'm just like, I feel like there's just, that's just a massive shift from how it was when we were younger.
Yeah.
Massive shift.
I adore her. I'm very excited for this new generation.
Yeah.
And my younger cousin Neve, also called Neve, classic dark horse of the family, is just like a bit more on the quiet side, but is hectically good at art. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we just walked past the fridge and I went, what the hell? And Mel just goes, Neve painted that. And it's like this still life, perfect painting of a capsicum.
It's actually like a Van Gogh still life. And we were like, what the fuck?
It was so good.
Oh, drawing is something I've always wanted to be good at.
Are you arty?
No.
Neither.
I'm obviously I'm very creative, man. But no, visual art is always something I've wanted to be good at, but have never, ever had the knack for.
Yes.
Although I do have a weird knack for, when I was nanning, I used to do these like really intricate drawings and paintings of like, of characters from books and things that the kids I looked after loved. I can do it if I have like a photo to look at. Yep. I can like exactly not trace, but like if I have a photo, I can like go off of that, but that's literally it.
Yeah, right. No, Neve was showing us a bunch of her art and then I have no idea how to talk about art. So it's me, 1, trying to talk cool to my cool cousin, 2, trying to talk about art and be cool. So it's me going, yes, sick. And do you like So do you like oil as well, or are you just are you hanging out with the pencils and pens? And she's looking at me going, what the fuck are you talking about? So cool.
No, it's been very beautiful hanging out with Sammy's fam. I do feel like a little additional cousin.
Yeah. And we had that gorgeous
and Shez did say to me the other day, she's like, your family, Mel. And I was like, I could cry.
That's so beautiful. We also had that beautiful drive in the Toyota Corolla on International Women's Day.
International Women's Day. And happy to one to all.
Happy International Women's Day. Now, hi. I recognise that this goes against the regular rat bag of it all, because usually rat bags is where we have the bring bitch hotline. However, this was a rat food on the road specific DM I got from someone that saw that we were on tour and was like, could you talk about touring?
Oh, I love that.
And I thought that it's probably... because we're on the road right now on tour, we could talk about it.
That's epic. I love that.
A simple one.
Thanks for sending in whoever this was.
Thank you. The DMs are rolling on in.
The DMs. May the DMs continue to DM.
Hello, Mel and Sam. Happy Fringe. Loved your post the other day about 4 years at Adelaide. So true, because we did our 4 years on. I have a question for you. I'm thinking of doing a one-woman show next year for the Fringe, hopefully to start in Adelaide, and then I'll see how I go. Do you have any advice for how you can show up on tour for the good old mental health, etc. You guys seem to be doing it a lot. I loved your episode when you're in Perth, and I can see that you're now in Adelaide. So I thought it would be the perfect time to ask you, how do you show up on tour? Any advice would be great. Thanks. Love your guts.
If that isn't the most correctly timed question ever.
I know. It came in literally when we did that swipe through post. They DM'd us going, love that you're on tour.
I love that.
And I was like, that's a really bloody good question.
It's also a great question because it's also something that Sam and I have been I would say if you're comfortable to talk about a tiny bit, definitely working through a bit and problem solving for ourselves on tour. Because being on tour is a really specific thing. Yeah. It's also... there's being on tour in the sense of you're in Grease the musical and you're on tour and you're put up in accommodation in your own room and you have per diems and you get paid for and everything. Yep. And then there's being on tour as two people who are best friends but also two halves of a business as
partners,
well. Yep. And you're living in teeny tiny quarters. Yep. Money is tight. Yep. It can be a bit of a pressure cooker.
Yep, I agree.
I think. I mean, one woman show, that's probably a bit of a different story. But you'd probably still be touring with a director or a producer or something.
Yeah,
or a
with
stage
someone
manager.
on the road. And I think our advice can come from navigating working with someone on the road and living and working with someone on the road. However, my piece of advice to someone, if you are truly going on your own and going solo, is get out and go see shows. Yeah. Because it's the biggest motivator of it. Often with Fringe festivals or any kind of tour, you'll get an artist pass. So you can just go in and pass into shows that haven't sold out. That is the biggest way to ground me and remind me of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yep. To be around the hustle and bustle of an audience that's loving it. Yep. And also to be in and amongst patrons. Yeah. People just enjoying the show. Sometimes it's nice to be on the flip side and not be hanging around artists.
I agree with that.
All the time.
Yeah, because I was going to say also there'll be often artist bars and things that you can go to if you're touring alone to make connections and things. I think we're very lucky because we work together. Yep. It is a built-in, it's a built-in best friend and a built-in, all of that. But
we've got someone to kind of go to.
If we had a penny for every time that we've said to each other, how do people do this on their own? The amount of shows we've been in where we've wanted to nudge someone on the knee or also when when shit actually hits the fan and you're I really, truly the fact that I have my best friend here to help me with this is the biggest blessing. Yeah. I was going to say, so go to artist bars, but also, just go out and be amongst the hustle and bustle of it. I also think tour is a really specific thing and people's needs are really different on tour as well. And it'll probably be dependent on how introverted you are, how extroverted you are, what your social battery's like.
Sorry?
No, you're right. I was just going to say whether you need to things, really simple things you've got to have breakfast at a certain time or your day is out of whack and things like that. I think don't treat tour don't expect tour to be just as easy or as regular as normal life, and then in the same breath try to make it feel like normal life. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
Also listen to your body. I think it actually took us a good year or two to stop being so harsh on ourselves when we actually needed to sleep in till 2 p.m. And it's so easy to go, oh, that's ridiculous.
Or
if your show's at 9:45, if your show's even at 7 or 8, the adrenaline post-show, don't get down on yourself if you can't fall asleep. I know that's a big one that we try and have for ourselves.
Huge one for me.
And I think Mel and I are quite, which we've realised, and I think it's like good to be honest and vulnerable. We're going through a bit of a teething thing at the moment when it comes to when we like to work and the on and off switch for when we're in work mode. I know you're a lot more fluid and can kind of that switch, even though there's times where, we don't want to be talking about ticket sales and flyering when it's 2 a.m. and we are watching a fun movie. But I think your switch can flick a lot more easily. Sometimes I find it really jarring or like I'm being ripped from leisure time if we do talk work. It's also impossible because we have a podcast and we're writing a musical. There's so many other things that we have to action.
Like 24/7 chats are about work things.
But I mean, as well, even with pre-show routine, I like to put music on, put my makeup on, kind of go into a zone, whereas you like to chat. Mel loves to chat to other performers in the green room. And we know now from kind of doing it for a few years now and being often in green rooms with people, and this is not to at all discredit someone that's performing for the first time, but I think the more you perform and the more you do it, the more you realise what is a good use of energy and what isn't. And when people are in work mode, and, you know, it's been really nice sharing green rooms with people that are like, are you guys wanting chill time right now? Or are you happy for me to talk to you about something? Or when techs can read the room and go, I know you've just done post-show and you're probably wanting to celebrate. Is now a good time for a note or tomorrow morning?
Totally.
When you're in that initial stages, it can feel like you're kind of wading through a whole lot of stuff and you're not dramatic if it feels like a lot. I had a breakdown in Perth. About how everything felt like too much. And I said to Mel earnestly, I'm like, I love what we do. Right now, I'm not having a good time. And that breaks my heart because it shook to my core, like what being an artist is. I'm like, no, but I'm in my dream job. But it's allowed to feel
like work.
Hard.
And because it is work.
And like work.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that I would say is, being respectful of other people's boundaries as well, being respectful of other people's space.
Especially if you're working in a team.
Yeah, other people's props and costumes. Don't move.
Touch them.
The amount of times, Mel and I, one time we went up to our green room there was just a bunch of people going, cool guitar, love this shirt.
Put it down.
And we felt like assholes going, sorry, could you not do that? Setting good boundaries for yourself in, how you want to be spoken to. If there's someone that's making you feel uncomfortable, report it. We've gotten good at, if something doesn't feel right or feels weird or someone's crossed a boundary, and we're very good as well at having check-ins with people and going, when you said blah, it actually made us feel like this. We're much better now at advocating for ourselves. But
and there's some odd people around fringes, and there's like we've had some like stalker-esque kind of adjacent like behavior and like some following home at night. Be really safe, be careful. Try and like have someone with you if you're like walking home.
And ease in the way you want to ease in. What's really gorgeous but can sometimes be tricky with the world of social media is it can look like, if you're like, all right, I'm going to go and do my first show, it can look like everyone around you really has it figured out. And sometimes I would say to the people doing their first ever show, maybe for your first ever show, you might not need to do merch, or you might not need to do, photos with people at the end. If there's things that are going to feel like too much, it's okay to ease in.
100%.
And, we divide our time where, after a show, I have a big thing where, like, I'm very conscious of not wanting to lose my voice, especially if we're doing, like, an Edinburgh run. So Mel's like, I'll sell the caps.
I'll chat to people after the show.
Mel kind of is the face of our brand for a bit. And obviously I want to be there to, like,
100%.
show face as well. But I'll do the pack down.
Yeah, and you've just got to make smart choices for yourself and, like, whatever you need. Yeah, and there's not like one job out of those two that's just more important than the other,
Yeah, you also don't have to read reviews. I know a lot of performers that actively go, a review's out, I'm not reading it.
Or have the same attitude that we have to reviews, which is if a review is good, and same as awards. If a review is good or you get an award, awards and reviews mean everything.
Yeah.
And if you don't or your review is bad, they mean fucking nothing. They're not important.
Nothing at all.
They really are not. If people are laughing and having a good time, that's all that matters, babes.
Yeah, and make sure you're eating properly. Make sure you're eating properly. It's really easy. Do not do the amount of times I've done a show and I'm like, this is bad. I've had 3 corn thins, 1 muesli bar and a Powerade. That is not a meal for an hour of a show.
Go eat a head of broccoli.
And fuck the food trucks at Fringe. They cost $1 zillion. Do a grocery shop.
Nothing feels better than moving into a common going, I'm doing a grocery shop straight away.
There's also at a lot of festivals, use and utilize, just the same word twice, isn't it? The artist services that exist.
Yeah,
they will, a lot of times they'll give you like mental health welcome packs. There's often like sausage sizzles or free meals for artists. Yeah. Go and check in with that. That'd be my other advice.
It's great advice. I think we've kind of run out of time on this little rat food.
Yeah.
Have we? How long are we running for?
32.
32. Let's fucking cut it there.
Let's cut it there. We took a pause in the middle, but that's all right.
Yeah.
That's it. Hey, I'm having the time of my life. Even though talk can be hard, this is my favourite thing in the world.
It's the best.
And we hope you've enjoyed the kind of loose, more chill rat food on the road vibes. I know people have been saying thanks for just the kind of on the road energy that we've been providing.
We love doing these. It's really fun to just set up the camera and our pod equipment kind of wherever we are and just talk to you about wherever we're at. But if there's anything like specific, as always, with rat foods or anything that you like want to talk about, or if you guys have any, like, we might start doing, we had an idea about maybe doing like a Q&A type thing at the end of like each rat food. Like if you have any questions for us or anything like that, literally about anything.
Like, let us know,
Literally let us know.
And if you're in Melbourne, come and see the No Hat No Play. Come and see No Hat No Play. Yeah. We will be opening that very soon.
Really exciting.
From Adelaide, hopefully see you at Gay Times Festival. Gay Times.
Yeah, I don't think we've announced that yet. We can absolutely announce that. We're performing at Gay Times, the Queer Music Festival. We're on the lineup.
In Gembrook.
And we're doing our entire show of Platonic Human Centipede. So if you're in Melbourne and you missed that show in Melbourne, you can come see it at Gay Times if you want to.
And that's kind of it. Thanks to the bubba who wrote into our hotline.
Yeah, thanks for that gorgeous question. That was so well timed.
Perfectly timed. That's all.
Love you.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
This is a Grouse House podcast.
Mel and Sam would like to acknowledge that this podcast was created and recorded on stolen land.
The original custodians of this land have had a rich history of storytelling